Hello and welcome to Rubbin Minds. My name is Hero Daniels. I'd like to start off by saying congratulations, Nigeria. Everybody is still in high spirits. Fresh off their record-extending 10th Women's Africa Cup of Nations WAFCON title, the Super Falcons have once again reminded the continent who reigns supreme in the women's football. This conversation celebrates their incredible dominance, the pride they bring to millions of Nigerians, and the beauty of their game, from standout performances to the unshakable spirit that carried them through the tournament. Despite the off-pitch setbacks like delayed training kicks and kits, with the rise of women's football globally, the Falcons are not just winning, they are inspiring. This isn't just about lifting a trophy. It's literally about what it means for young girls watching, the future of football in Nigeria, and for a nation hungry for consistent sporting glory. With me in the studio to unpack the Nigerian excellence, I have Ifreke Inyang, a sports editor with Daily Posts. How are you feeling?
I'm feeling very ecstatic. I mean, for somebody that supports the wrong teams, it was good to see a team I support win a trophy. It was dramatic. It was palpitating. it was a lot of emotions. But at the end of the day, we're able to impose our dominance on the African continent for the 10th time.
You know, in the first half, I almost thought that we were not bringing this trophy home, but I don't know the miracle that happened in the second half. What exactly would you say tilted the game?
I think Justin Madugu didn't make some correct tactical decisions, especially in midfield. And I think that our fullbacks were not really up to. I mean, Plumter and Mitchell Alozie are some of our best players in that team. But for some reason, in that first half, they were very exposed, and we saw the Moroccans have joy down the wings and take. I mean, before the final, we had not conceded from open play. And then in 12 minutes, we had conceded twice. So it was something the coach needed to look at and fix at halftime. And I think that there was a bit of nerves facing, the host in the final. It's never an easy thing to play against the host in the final because. Yeah, and the crowd was crazy. The laser.
I was about to talk about
in their faces. So it was a lot of things they had to walk into in that first half, and then just gather themselves and just reassert their dominance.
So is there no official law banning fans from bringing items that might distract their opponents on the pitch?
I put out a tweet yesterday and I asked that why is CAF still allowing these North African countries get away with these things? Because every time that they're playing a team, at home, they come with these laser lights, and they're always specifically putting. After the game, the Madugo was talking about it that not only they put it in front of the player, they put it into his own eyes, and so it just anything to just unsettle you and just give them their players just a slight advantage, they would do it. And we know that it's very typical of North African teams to always do that. And I think that something has to be done about that. CAF needs to really look at that and just impose sanctions, improve their security checks and all of that.
All right, so while we're talking about the external challenges, let's try and look inwards and talk about our internal challenges, because the Super Falcons actually won this trophy against all odds. If we were to go with the level of preparation from our own football governing body, if they had performed or underperformed rather, I don't think they would be blamed, because I mean we had issues with the training kids. What exactly is the issue with the governing body when it comes to football?
It's a sad situation with Nigerian football. The issues are the same. And you can't trust that in the next competition it will not arise again. So I think they need to take a look at themselves, because at the end of the day, when the Super Falcons won the trophy, you could see all of them come together and try to hijack the trophy off them. But I think the girls outperformed themselves despite the setback, despite the issues, despite the late arrival of kids and all of that. In fact, I think a day or 2 days before the final, President Bola Tinubu had to ask the NFF or those in charge to appropriate their bonuses and their allowances to them, which is very sad, because you would think that there's reward for good performances, and the Super Falcons were exceptional. I mean, until the quarterfinal, they had not considered a goal and they were winning their games, and then there was no desire to reward them, to encourage them, to motivate them, even up until the day they are ready to play the final, you needed the intervention of the president to make that happen. I think the sport officials, the NFF, should look at themselves, like just reflect at their own behaviors and do better moving forward.
This conversation has been ongoing, and I think I was watching a particular podcast where Mikel Obi stated that he still hasn't been refunded for the amount of money he paid at some point, to get his co-players to a certain tournament, and this issue just keeps going on and on. What would you suggest would be a permanent solution to make sure that our players are well taken care of?
Well, I don't think that what we are asking here is rocket science, because the Super Falcons have won the WAFCON. CAF has doubled the prize money to $1 million. So this money is available, and what I read is that 30% of that money is supposed to go to the squad, the players, the coaches. It's a simple thing. You get the money, you allocate the money. But somehow the money is always trapped somewhere, it doesn't get to the place, and then there's now drama, and it becomes a mess. And then you now hear that they're owing people money from a year, 2 years, the last tournament. You just really wonder that why is a simple process now become very complicated? It's a very simple process. You get the money, allocate the money, everybody moves on.
Let's talk about women's football. I think women's sports generally versus men's sports, you'd see that there's more of funding in the men's sports, and people would argue that it's just pure economics. The people that come to see these matches for men versus the people that come to see these matches for women. But now we're increasingly seeing stadiums fill up because of our women. What does this mean for women's sports?
I still think that there is a lot of work to be done in making female football like as big or as interesting or as money spinning as the male football, because for instance with WAFCON, for instance, I think the first competition was in '96 or something, and meanwhile there's been the AFCON, which is the male version, since 1960, whenever I was 50 something. So it has, you'd say in that sense of the word, they've paid their dues, they've earned their right, and I think the women also have to, because in this tournament, I think in some games that I watched, the stadium was not particularly full and the fans stayed away. But it gradually got towards the quarterfinal, semifinal, they began to team around the countries they're supporting and just show up. So I think that yes, women football has come a bit after the men's football, but they have to keep at it, keep putting in the work, giving us fantastic games, and then they would earn what they deserve.
All right, now let's talk about our players. With consistent showing up and showing out in terms of the matches, you see the likes of Asisat, Rashidat was also such a shining light. What do you think are the opportunities that are available to our local players internationally, especially with this outing? Any predictions?
I think that some of the players already made moves. Like I know our goalkeeper already moved to Brighton, and I think some of them already play for good clubs in Europe, in Canada, in the US, But I think that every time you have is a window. Every time you are able to, which is why that despite the fact there are external issues back home, it's like once you step on that pitch, it's business as usual. You handle what has to be handled on the pitch, and then you let whatever has to happen behind the scenes happen. I think that with this tournament, some of these names have come to the fore, and it will not be a surprise that they get some moves, some really big, important moves, because I think there are some really good players in there, for some clubs to pick up.
Okay, so beyond winning the tournament, what does this victory represent for Nigerians, women particularly?
I think that it reminded the continent that we are the boss, because I think the only other country that has won this WAFCON is South Africa. And I think they are the only ones that gave us a tough game at this tournament. Don't really pay much details into what happened in that first half, because it under the circumstances, I mean, whatever. But I think that it was important. The nature of the comeback, how emphatic it was just important. A very solid message to the continent that we are the ones that are in charge of this thing. So if you want to come for a crown, you better be ready.
I'm putting the work.
Put in the work. Put in the work. And I think that I wonder what the conversation at halftime would have been like. Like, this is not us. We are the queens of Africa. It doesn't matter if we are playing against the host. It doesn't matter what the crowd or the light in our faces. Let's stand up and be counted. We have 45 minutes to get our Mission X completed. And that's exactly what they did.
Who was your player? I know, of course, they've announced the official player of the match, but who was your player for the tournament?
That is an incredibly hard thing to. But I was quite impressed by the leadership of Rasheedat Ajibade. I think she has grown. I've seen her grown into her own, and I like Aziza Shola, despite the fact that she doesn't really have like a starting spot. She's no longer as important as she used to be. But whenever she came around, she brought her A game. I was also very impressed by Esther Okoronkwo in the final, and that is what it means to grab a game by the scruff of the neck. You just stand up and you just insist that this game has to be won. I don't care what is happening around me. I don't care who's not up for it, but there's a final yet to be won, and she was emphatic. She was magnificent. Also, kudos go to our goalkeeper. And there are a lot of. At the end, they have to go through the team because there are a lot of very, very special performances. But it was a good squad generally that we took to the WAFCON.
I loved how you were throwing names, and each of those names had a different tribe. And it just reminded me of the fact that when it comes to football, everybody suddenly forgets that they are from a certain region of the country. In that very moment, we are all Nigerians. So what does this mean for the unity of the country, and how can we consistently leverage football to preach the gospel of unity, especially in times where it looks like we are divided amongst ethnic and religious lines?
Some of the tribalism, and we see in Nigeria generally now is very disappointing how it has grown. But football is one language. Everybody shouts goal. It doesn't matter what language you speak. So yesterday night, you didn't know. You could have been in a viewing center with 1,000 people. You didn't know who was Yoruba, who was Hausa, who was Ishekiri, who was from Akwa Ibom. Everybody was supporting Aziza Shola, was supporting Okoronkwo, was supporting Echejini. They didn't say, oh, no, you Igbo girl, go away, So I think that football should also act as a unifying factor in the country because it's one language and it can just push us in one direction.
Ifreka Young, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for coming on the program, and you were such a great sport.
Thank you for having me.
Do enjoy the rest of your day, okay?
And you too.
Rubbin Mind continues after this break. Stay with us. Welcome back. This is Rubbin Minds. Before we went on the break, we were talking about Nigeria's victory in the just concluded Africa Cup of Nations, Women's African Cup of Nations. And of course, one more time, go Super Falcons. And that sort of reminded us how united we are as Nigerians, even though in recent times we've been seeing a lot of statements from our political figures that seems like it's not exactly in line with national unity. For example, in recent times, we've heard Rabiu Kwankwaso and Edo State Governor Monday Okpebholo, they have made headlines for comments that many say strike at the heart of national unity. Kwankwaso accused President Tinubu of prioritizing development in the south while leaving the north behind, describing roads in the north as, in quotes, hell, compared to what he called the transformation happening in the south. Meanwhile, in Edo State, Governor Okpebholo warned that the Labour Party's Peter Obi must seek clearance before visiting the state, sparking outrage over what many view as a breach of constitutional rights. These comments have reignited questions about free movements, free speech, national development, and whether our leaders are building bridges or burning them. On this segment, we're going to be asking, why do our leaders still speak in ways that divide? And what is the real cost of this kind of rhetoric on the idea of one Nigeria? And that leads me to the topic, which is discussing national cohesion and diversity. With me in the studio is a social commentator, Awabiaka Ahmed. Welcome back to Rubbin Minds.
Thank you so much.
It's been a minute.
Yes.
Okay, so let's just dive straight into it. What does it mean for the nation when a sitting governor says that an ex-presidential candidate must seek clearance before coming into his state?
Well, you see, first of all, congratulations to Nigeria for the victory of the Super Falcons, and that is a practical way of announcing our cohesion, of announcing the unity that should exist amongst us. The ladies called, sorry for diverting over there.
No, it's fine.
So overjoyed, were so joyous about the victory. The goals that were scored, nobody said it was an Igbo goal or Rashidat goal or anything. Everybody celebrated and we're all good for it. So it is quite unfortunate that while the young people are on the field everywhere carrying the flag of this country in their effort to unite this country, some leaders are doing the direct opposite. And these are leaders that we should be learning from. People tend to take politics way beyond the way it should, or the way we should play it. So I feel that is what is causing the whole of this. We could sense there were excuses given here and there. You know, the Edo State governor said the governor came and for security clearance, and when he came, last time he came, he donated some money, and that money led to some friction and people died and all that. But that is not a way of going about it. From an executive governor of a state, the chief security officer of a state. It is not supposed to be a public announcement. It's supposed to be something that should be dealt with holistically in a proper manner. And the former governor Rabiu Kwankwaso is quite unfortunate because a lot of politicking is going on. But unfortunately, 2027 is still far away. It is not a crime. It is not inherently objectionable for a leader or for politicians to play politics or to criticize government. But we have to do it within the confines of the law and in a manner that it does not cost us the peace of this country. What he's saying is capable of igniting unrest in some places. You know, for people to feel like, okay, well, development is happening in the south, in the north is not. But all this still boils down to the fact that some things played out recently, the unfortunate passing of former President Muhammadu Buhari, and that phenomenon about the 12 million Buhari Northern votes and who is going to inherit what or not. So it's possibly one of the reasons why the former governor, the NNPP chieftain, Rabiu Kwankwaso, is making this kind of statement just to garner the northern followership. That is one. Secondly, you know, opposition, the attempt by, or the effort of a ruling party or of government to sustain power or to retain power, to prevent opposition from taking power, and also the effort of the opposition to want to displace a sitting government should not cost us the peace of this country. Recently, the president did a lot. You know, after the passing of Buhari, he gained some northern sympathy as a result of the kind of last respect he gave to his predecessor, and there were some important appointments that were given to northerners. So these are good points for a politician, for a sitting government. But the attempt by someone in the opposition in the north to want to, you know, counter that might lead to statement like this.
Just hold on to that thought. I know you have quite a lot to say. We also want to sample another opinion. Joining us from our Abuja studio is a political analyst, Zaria Yusuf. Welcome to the program.
Well, thank you so much. It's a pleasure to be here.
Thank you for joining us. I'm quite sure that you're well briefed with the conversation going on. We're talking about, you know, divisive statements by political heavyweights like Governor Bebelo of Edo State and, of course, former Governor Kwankwaso. A lot of these divisive statements can be attributed to politicking, and we saw a rise in politicking in terms of ethnic division or statements like this from the last election. Moving into 2027, how did we get here? Why does it seem like the polity is heating up even way before the elections?
Well, we got here, we were set on this particular path from 2011. From 2011, especially what happened after late Buhari lost to Goodluck Jonathan. You would remember that there were lots of killings, and those killings ended up not even going in the political line, but in the religious line, ethno-religious killings. We lost quite a number of core members and people who were innocent and all of that. And you will also remember when a certain key statement came from him, the late former president, saying Muslims vote the Muslim, Christians vote the Christians, and all of that. Now, we can't exactly say there was never anything such as ethno-religious, biases in our politics. But at a time when any politician would have become emboldened to come out and publicly pursue that path as a path to, whipping up sympathy of voters and all of that, it started then. Now, after getting into office for the whole of those 8 years, nepotism basically was redefined. It was almost a case of, boss, we have too many people from this part of the country. And okay, get me a list of people from my village and let's replace all of them. So that went on and on and on. There were only a few politicians from the northern part of the country that had a problem with that. I need you to understand that. So it went on that way. And then, just before the 2023 election, the story of it became almost an institutionalized issue to use ethnicity and religion to pursue votes. And that came up from the former governor of Kaduna State, who basically started off by referring to a candidate as an ethnic bigot, as a religious bigot. And then you will look at that scenario and ask yourself, in a country that has already been deeply divided along the line of religion, along the line of ethnicity, would you not want to create a scenario where you will douse whatever tensions or mistrust there has been, or distrust that has been entrenched between, different parts of the country? But they went ahead and brought about the notion of the Muslim ticket. And then the whole idea of it was, let us replicate what this governor did in Kaduna State. Of course, we are not discussing that. We could go a whole lot into that details. But definitely it left a deeply divided state, wounded people, and all kinds of criminalities that are yet to be accounted for, which I hope in the course of time, people will pay for it. So having done that, basically what you have, the regime that emerged from that election in 2023 was such that a certain group will feel entitled to the fact that we played it in the line of religion, we played it in the line of ethnicity, and we have proven that we are in the bigger number and all of that. Unfortunately, you would realize that while this is not totally new, when you come to the northern part of the country, basically the use of ethnicity and religion to score political points, it has unfortunately moved down to the south. Okay? Such that we would have a politician like, please pardon me, I would stick to the first name Monday because Tegolo keeps coming to my mind each time I struggle to pronounce the second one. Where did you get are you the president of a country? Who exactly are you to dictate to any particular citizen to seek a certain kind of permission before coming? On what grounds are you basically pronouncing a citizen as how do you call it, as a persona non grata or whatsoever in your state? So these are things that should not have been. Basically, in a country that was working, the impetus to say that wouldn't even come up. And that's why I align with Barrister Kenneth Okonkwo, who said the ease with which he was able to make that utterance came from the singular fact that he despises the ethnicity from which that particular candidate came from. He wouldn't have done that basically if Konkoso was going there. He wouldn't have done that if Atiku was going there. He wouldn't dare do that if any of the governors or politicians from the southwest was doing that. But he found it easy to do it. So that's quite unfortunate.
Yeah. Speaking about Governor Kwankwaso, because you just mentioned his name, genuinely, can you try to objectively dissect his statements? Do you think he had a valid point, or was this just a very ethnic statement to make? when he said that
this
development is
basically-
more on the south than the north from this present government.
What he is doing, he is basically sowing the same seed that Nasser El-Rufai sowed in 2022 by first of all defining a particular candidate as a religious bigot. But this time around, because the sitting government is a government that basically a serious part of the North basically wanted this, not necessarily because there was anything to offer, but simply because it did look as if it was a certain kind of victory for Islam. Let's just be honest about it. So there were people that celebrated it. Oh, the Muslim. It shows where. I mean, when you follow utterances of clerics, you would see these things. But along the line, something seems to have fallen apart. The fanatics that supported the emergence of this regime, the politicians that either openly or secretly worked for the regime, are basically pulling back and are beginning to attack the regime. So when you come out and make a statement that the president is focusing development, whether roads, projects, or whatsoever in the southern part of the country and not the north, it is not true. He is only sowing a certain seed that is supposed to germinate, mature, and create the same old division. Basically, we are being dragged back to somewhere around 2011 or 2015, where the politics as at that time was not between what was new and was coming and what was old. It was between a northerner and a southerner. It was between a Muslim and a Christian. That was unfortunate. What played out in 2015 was strictly ethnicity and religion.
All right.
And thank God the sitting president was willing to risk his own political ambition and save the country of what I would have described a very bloody civil war. And I think it's unfortunate that this is basically the same seed that this man is trying to sow. But I hope that he fails woefully.
All right, so Ahmed, let's weigh in your thoughts. What do you think is really the bone of contention? Some would argue that it's because of the recent road infrastructure that is going to run from Lagos all the way to Calabar. Some others would say that, there's a lot of projects going on in the north as well. It's just that, people don't make so much noise about it. Some would also argue that as far back as President Goodluck's tenure, that there were so many infrastructural projects he did for the north, and it was almost as if that didn't matter when it came to the votes. Eventually, when late President Muhammadu Buhari took over. Let's really be objective about this. Do you genuinely think that more development is coming to the south in this particular regime?
Well, without holding a brief for the government, I think I've seen the statement of former Governor Kwankwaso and the reply from the government. And a whole lot of projects, road projects especially, almost 50 of them, major road projects. Badagry, Sokoto, Superhighway, there's the Kaduna, Abuja, Kano highway, over 340 kilometers, and a whole lot. Now, if you put them side by side, the roads, I took my time to put side by side the projects that are going on, including in agriculture, the health sector, and all that. There is no truth. Just like he has mentioned, there's no truth in the statement of Mr. Rabiu Kwankwaso, Alhaji Rabiu Kwankwaso. But that is just secondary in this issue, in this whole issue. Now, there is a thin line, and we tend to confuse these things together between weaponizing religion and ethnicity. The two issues that happened, in fact, going back to 2015, like he mentioned, and the statement by Okpebolo, the governor of His Excellency, the governor of Edo State, and His Excellency, former Governor Rabiu Kwankwaso, are not in any way related to religion. We should not, this is a dangerous attempt to want to intertwine the two together. There are two separate things. Okpebolo is a Christian. Mr. Peter Obi is a Christian. Rabiu Kwankwaso is mentioning what he's mentioning, and we have a Muslim president and a Muslim vice president. So these are two different things entirely. And Rabiu Kwankwaso didn't mention it because it is he's not doing things on the Muslim side or something. He simply mentioned it not. These are two different things entirely. So I think we need to be very objective in separating these two things, and that does not in any way emanate or span or stem from the issue of Muslim tickets. There are two different conversations entirely. So I think we should not confuse them together and separate them, and with that we'll be able to have a clear vision. So now it is very, very important for us not to attempt for political leaders to stop attempting to weaponize ethnicity, in scoring cheap political points. So I think that is just the major point in this whole issue. And I want to draw our attention back to the fact that people or politicians are selfish, and they will do anything to want to gain attention or to want to gain the followership of the people. So there were times when the immediate past president Buhari was there. They say he took a whole lot of appointments to the north, but he was doing projects in the south. Now, the president is there, so it is allowed. The current president is there. They said he's carrying so much appointments to the north or to the south, and is not taking projects to the north. So I think we need to balance these things up and see from what politicians are saying and be very careful in absorbing them.
All right, so we're going to do a bit of statistics later on in terms of listing certain facts and figures, but please just hold on to your thoughts now. I'd like to ask Yusuf, candidly, how would you rate this government on a scale of 1 to 10, if you're to be honest, in terms of performance?
Well, first of all, first of all, I'd want to say to my friend, unless we want to be politically correct, but there are certain politicians, when they speak to you about the North, whatever their notion of the North is, cannot be divorced from religion. I just need to put it out there for you to, get that. We don't have to agree on it anyway. But in all fairness, on a scale of 1 to 10, if I were to rate this government, frankly, I would put it at maybe 2.5. That basically, and I'm saying that in all fairness, because
2.5 is a failure. Are you saying this government, this current government, has failed?
Yes, it has. My friend, people who earn, even somebody earning 500,000 naira in Nigeria today is a poor man. I mean, you look at a country where there are deliberate policies by a government that make it extremely difficult for people to eat, extremely difficult for small-scale businesses to thrive, extremely difficult for farmers to do what they want to do, extremely difficult for people to just survive. And yet we keep talking about achieving. The whole thought was that a government had the primary responsibility of making life better for its citizens. And I don't know of how many policies in this government has actually elevated the pathetic and subhuman, condition that most of Nigerians are living in. It's quite unfortunate. So yes, it has failed woefully.
The government would always say that the reason why we are where we are now is as a result of the fuel subsidy removal, and it's going to take some time before things adjust. Now, do you think that the funds being recovered from the subsidy is being put into proper use, and how has that really trickled down to the common man? Because they would argue that if not that the fuel subsidy was removed, then Nigeria would have gotten way worse than it already is.
That is a lie. And then to directly answer you, it will never trickle down to the masses. Whatever it is that is being recovered from the subsidy that has been removed basically serves the purpose of luxury for the kinds of politicians that we have. Okay? So, I mean, you and I could get into the Senate. We could drive, SUVs of 200 and something million. And then if anybody from the masses gets to enjoy it, and possibly it will be the mistresses and the tiny PAs who basically act as pimps here and there. But to be very honest with you, yes, the removal of subsidy, and the truth of the matter is that when you set a policy, especially that which bites the masses, if it fails to yield any positive result over a period of 8 to 12 months, then it's a failure. That basically is it.
Thank you very much, Ahmed. Thank you very much, Zariyi Yusuf, pardon me. Thank you very much, Zariyi Yusuf. Thank you for joining us on the program. And Ahmed, thank you so much for joining us. Sadly, we're out of time. I know you still have a lot to say. Enjoy the rest of your day. Rubbin Mind continues after this break. Please stay with us. Welcome back. This is Rubbin Minds. Before we went on the break, we were talking about national development and how divisive statements by political heavyweights could impact on the nation's unity. Let's move away from politics now into entertainment. In today's entertainment space, controversy seems to be a part of the PR plan. Just before a new project drops, we often see entertainers caught in a scandal, digging up old beefs, or pushing narratives that blur the line between the truth and the fiction. Breakups, online rants, and selective vulnerability. And while all of these things are going on, the goal is very clear, just to stay in the spotlight. So we'll be having conversation on how the growing trend of using controversy to stay relevant and the role of the media in amplifying it and how much audiences might be enabling this particular cycle. And to discuss this with me, I have a talent manager in the studio, Perelade Dimanche. Welcome to the program.
Thank you.
I almost called it Dimanche. I thought it was, Igbo Dimanche. And of course, PR consultant Marvel Umo. Welcome to the program. You look very dapper.
Thank you. You
All right, so we've seen artists just before they drop a project just pull a particular stunt on social media. I'm going to start with you as a talent manager. So is it that from the team, it's been advised that you need to get the attention? You know what, just hold on to that thought. Marvel, from a PR perspective, how important are controversies in enabling projects fly conveniently?
So first of all, it's intent, right? So when you think of controversy, you're thinking of intent, because what can be controversy to you might not be to the person who's involved in it. And so at the end of the day, it's still controversy. So it is, as we look at it, important for what I call the shock value, right, for marketing, right? So people put up all of those different stunts so that they can grab your attention. And when they grab your attention, they can tell you what they want to tell you. They can sell their projects. They can sell whatever they have to sell. Right? So thinking about it, right, you would see that it is quite important if it's done properly.
If it's done properly. Emphasis on if it's done properly, because some of these controversies I do not think, from a personal point of view, are good for the end consumers. And by saying good, you see controversies as far, as extreme as involving personal stories, involving personal attacks. I mean, does the means justify the end?
So that's another point. The truth is, people sometimes really forget that for PR, it is a long-term game, right? But sometimes, and then you get to create these different controversies that really hurt your brand in the long run, sorry. And so you have to be careful if you are going to create any type of controversy, as it were, let it be something that will impact on your future. I mean, there's an example of a certain artist in Nigeria who, she came into the game. It really looked like nobody was listening to her, and then she flips it on us, and we started paying attention. Now, at the long run, what she now did was embody that personality that she started creating, which was really, there was a time she released a video, trying to break into the space. She released a video, and NBC at the time did not like that video. They did not like it because, of course, it had some nudity and stuff like that. But moving forward, of course, you know the person I'm talking about. But moving forward, she's embodied that and it's working for her.
Well, that is just one out of, I don't know, probably a million examples. And I can see from the look on Dimanche's face, she doesn't quite agree with you. What are your thoughts on artists using controversy to sell a body of work?
So I agree with him when he says the right type of controversy, right? But when it's the wrong kind, I'm just like, do we really want to go that far to bring out dirt from your family, from your personal life, all in the name of controversy? You want to sell a product that doesn't concern your family. So you want everybody to see you unclad before you sell a product. I can't get behind that one particularly, but I understand that you need to get people's attention, but getting negative attention, that's where I don't. So it depends on the controversy. For me, good controversy always.
Good controversy always. You're a talent manager. There are cases whereby an artist would have to dig up stories, from their past, dig up stories from their family, from their label. I mean, is that going too far?
Yes, that is going too far. There are things that are out of the reach of people that people don't need to know about, right? There are things that people need to know about. I think that more people even need to sell personal stories that are personal that their fans need to know about. Like, if you want your fans to get to know you, then sell an actual personal story, not a dirty story per se. So you don't need to, you don't need to say, you don't have to go naked. What you can do is maybe, why don't you wear something else? Like, look for I'm not saying that people that are naked are doing the wrong things. It works for them, and it's okay. It does work for them. But I'm saying, why don't you do something else? Why don't you wear clown ears? Why don't you try something out of the box? Like, why must we go and drag ourselves down the mud? Why can't you tell your fans that, oh, this is what I'm going through, or this is it, and curate the things that you want these fans to see, other than just, because once you open that box, you can't close it again.
Talking about opening up a box and not being able to close it back, I'm going to be very specific because I think both of you are really trying to be very careful. Now, Marvel, the word on the streets is Oxlade releasing an explicit material of himself was a PR plan to get people to talk. Is that true?
I don't know.
Marvel, come on, give us some tea.
I don't know.
And how do you think that impacted? Did it impact his projects successfully? Did he have more streams? And where is Oxlade right now?
Honestly, I think that some questions would best be answered by the team, because they have the back end. First, they know what the plan is like. They know their goal, and then they're looking at the back end to say, is our plan working out? Because again, success is achieving according to plan. Right, and so what you might call...
From an outside perspective, let's not get political about this. You are a PR person.
Yeah.
So from the audience perspective, do you think that worked? Did it work as a strategy? Did he have more visibility in a good way? And how come it hasn't trickled down to this very moment? Because I can't remember the last body of work that Oxlade dropped.
I think she has answers for that.
Why are you putting this on me?
Because I know you have.
The Munch?
I don't think it worked, honestly, because he was the sweetheart, everybody's sweetheart, and now this sweetheart. I hope it was a mistake. I do hope it was a mistake. Or if it wasn't, and it was a PR stunt, then he failed woefully. Like, he even backfired. Like, he took him like 10 steps backwards because, like you said, we've not seen him in the way that, and the people that would see him, like I said, he was like the sweetheart, industry sweetheart, and then industry sweetheart is now doing this to, a woman, or doing that, whatever he was doing, and releasing it to the public. He just like, you're no longer that sweet boy we knew. So yeah.
Okay, let's talk about the very obvious conversation when it comes to PR. When you talk about the big three, or some would now say the big four, the beef between Wizkid, Davido, Burna Boy, Rema has not really gotten into the mix when it comes to beefing. But of course, in terms of the body of work he releases and how globally recognized he is, I genuinely do think that he's part of the big four. Do you think it's deliberate by the team to consistently incite fans because competition sort of helps Afrobeats grow? Is that a thing, Marvel?
I think that I think that yes, and I think some of them, they've already spoken to that it's really the fans, going against themselves, and sometimes I also think that is engineered by the team. Right.
So there was a recent tweet where a particular X user asked Grok. Grok is the AI for X. Who visits Davido's profile the most? And Wizkid was the #1 handle that visits Davido's profile. Why do you think that is? And is that accurate?
I'm not the AI to say if it's accurate, because I saw it. I'm like, okay, this is a little bit funny, right? But again, it's like business, right? Everybody, you are checking on your competition to see what your competition is doing great.
So you think Wizkid is consistently checking on Davido?
That's not what I'm saying.
Okay.
I'm saying that if that is the case, right? Business people, you check on other people to see what they're doing, right? So whether it is to learn from or whatever, or there's something you're picking from every time you're checking your competition. So it's not really. I am not saying that is what happened or that the AI is correct. I'm just saying that if that happens, I don't really say anything bad.
Now I know why you're a PR consultant, because you're saying things and you are not saying those things at the same time. Dimanche, you're a talent manager. Can you be more direct with the answer? Do you think Wizkid checks Davido's profile quite often?
If he
and
does,
is that okay?
It's okay, because if we're competing, like he said, I would check your profile. I want to know what you're up to. I want to know if they're truly fighting, if the fight is real. I want
You
to know.
don't think the fight is real?
Some days I don't think so. Like we said, they may be engineering all of these things because they believe that that's what the fans want to see. But if the fight is real, if I was fighting with someone, I'll go and look at your page every day just to see what you're up to and to see what next or where next I can poke you. I'll do it. I'll definitely do it. If I were Wizkid, I would look at Davido's. Yeah, I'll do it. I'll definitely do it. And I don't think it's wrong. What if? Yeah, so. Because I want to respond to you when you come at me. And I want to see if you've tweeted at me without tagging me and respond with the way they go at each other. How do you think they used to see each other's tweets? If they were not checking it, come on, guys. Right. Yeah.
Okay. So I'm gradually running out of time, so I'll try to be very, very quick with this. Marvel, you're going to answer a question next after her. So the question for you, so start thinking of your answer. Are there any controversies you think were extreme? And please mention names while you're answering those questions. And then Dimanche, for you, do you think that these celebrities genuinely think that these controversies help sell their products? And how does that really affect the quality of work? So if the quality of work does not match up with the level of controversy, was it worth it? Because some people will have a lot of drama, and at the end of the day, when they release the body of work, for lack of a better word, it's not up to standard. So do you think it's effective, and do you think we need to sort of encourage the celebrities not to necessarily engage in controversies to sell a product?
Honestly, if you want me to call names, the big three or the big four or whatever, they have matched up with their in fact, they've done more than their drama. There's a lot of drama, but it's been matched up. Like, they've matched up to that level. But for other people, I'm not sure. Especially like if you're smaller than them, I don't know how the controversy is going to help you. With these people, they've already they came onto the stage without these controversies. So we already love them. And we're already like, oh, the music more before the person. That's how a lot of people see it now. It's like, we will support you to the grave.
Okay.
So no matter what they do, they'll have people to support them. But honestly, they do release some decent...
Okay, so we're just focusing on artists because we keep talking about the big three, talking about the big four. We even have other people like political analysts, we have TV hosts. In recent times, Omojua versus Frank Edoho. What do you make of that? Dimanche?
Yes.
Yes, the question is for you.
So, what do I make of that? I think that the fight is interesting. I don't know what they're trying to get out of it, both of them. I think that is a genuine fight, actually. I don't think they are trying to... I think they're genuinely going at each other. And it's interesting to, just watch with both of them. Yeah.
Okay, Marvel, what do you make of that fight? And then remember, you have to tell me which particular celebrity has done a particular controversy as a strategy that didn't work.
Okay, so first of all, just to clarify, I don't think that all controversies are all engineered. There are some are like genuine mistakes.
Do you think the Frank Edoho and Omojua
I think
fights?
It's genuine. I think it's just they really feel like,
Why is that? These are two respected figures.
Things happen. We don't know the story. Sometimes when we see things on the internet, we just see it. We don't know what the backstory is, right? So I just, from where I stand, I think it's something really genuine that is going on that we probably don't know.
All right. Well, It's been an amazing time with you guys. I could see that you were very, very careful with your words, which speaks to the fact that, yes, when it comes to public relations, you should choose your words very carefully. So well done to the both of you. And that is our show for today on Rubbin Minds. My name is Hero Daniels. Until I catch you next time, please stay good.